suppose obviously I knew they were chalk and stuff, and they,
Yeah.
also didn't have the right paper for it either, so that didn't help. But yeah, one foul swoop and the whole thing can be gone.
Behind every creative person or small business is a great story waiting to be told.
And we are here to tell them.
I'm Shane, aspiring author and man behind I-Endeavour.
I'm Hannah, semi-abstract artist and woman behind Sarah's Studio. And this is the
I-Endeavour podcast.
Welcome back to the I-Endeavour podcast and episode 4. We're here with Ellen Susan Igoe. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good. So why don't you tell us a bit more about yourself and what it is you do?
Yeah, so my name is Ellen Susan Igoe, but most people just call me Susan.
I was actually, sorry to interrupt, I was actually saying to Shane the other day, I called you like Ellen for about 6 months before you were like, it's actually Susan.
That's so used to it. It's because that's the way it is on my passport, so I just kind of got used to it. And with I think when I was applying to college, I was like, oh, I better keep all these things official and the same as the passport, so that's kind of how that came about. But I answer to both, so it's grand. But yeah, so I'm an artist. I am living and working in County Roscommon in a little town called Castlereagh. And I'm also studying contemporary art since September in GMIT and CCAM in Galway.
You always mention like Castlereagh and stuff, like the town's really supportive towards you and your like small business, aren't they?
Yeah. So like when I've been doing like bits and bobs and like signs and random things for years. It kind of started out with a lady that I used to babysit for. She asked me to paint. I think she just said something like paint a picture on a wall of her new play school. Mm-hmm. And then I did that, and then I started getting asked to do more and a couple of signs and that kind of thing, and it just kind of kept going for like that for a couple of years, and then I kind of took it a bit more seriously last year.
And how are you finding things now back at college and stuff like that, especially with what's been going on?
We actually get asked it. I've been asked this a few times. I find it okay, because I've already been through the whole college experience. So to me, it's not really a new experience as such. It's more for me about, like getting it done. And, I know exactly what I want from it. I would imagine, though, that it's a lot harder for, the ones that have like just finished their Leaving Cert and were expecting the normal college life this year. I'd say
the college experience and not getting that.
Yeah. And I mean, even the things with like the price of materials, I know you can get like, stuff that'll get you by in college, like Mr. Price or whatever, but like there's a lot of stuff that you need to have to be ready for classes and stuff. And I can imagine it's not easy when, people aren't able to work, or, they might have lost their jobs and that. I find it okay. I feel a bit guilty sometimes for saying that I find it okay. But it has been a year and I'm kind of getting sick of the whole lockdown thing now, which I'm sure everyone is.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of found it okay. I mean, we're not in college, so we're not having to do that, but like we found it okay.
We're kind of in our own little bubble, aren't we? Just us
and I mean, we have Donica to keep us distracted. So I just miss the fam and stuff,
Yeah.
But apart from that, anyway. So
how long has it been since you've seen your family? Has it been like a year?
For you, it's been
over a year.
Well over a year. I think probably like a year and a half or something. For my family, it's probably been about over 6 months, 6, 7, 8 months.
8 months ish. It was around August, wasn't it?
Yeah, August. Last year.
Yeah. It was August last year.
Yeah.
But mine was I think it was January. Actually.
January. Yeah.
It was January.
So a year. Well, over a year now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of crazy, but I suppose they ring them enough.
Yeah, they still have to listen to me.
Yeah,
talking
they still have
them.
to listen to us and Donica screaming at them. Anyway, so you previously studied religion. So what, like, it's obviously really brave, like, that you've actually made the decision to go back to college. So what made you want to go and like retrain in art, but not retrain because you were doing art before as well?
So I did music and religion teaching in Mater Dei, and like I've taught for a few years, and I did like it. And I really, really liked when I was abroad, when I was teaching out there. Totally different experience, but it just wasn't like I was still doing art, probably a lot more in Dubai when I got back into it. but I just didn't find like I was able to dedicate enough time for it. And I was doing I don't know what it was. Oh, I can remember the exact moments that I decided I was like, no, I'm doing it. That's it. I was helping a girl that I know. She'd just done her leaving cert there I think it was last year, and during the year she wanted to make a portfolio for college, and her mum asked me would I help. So I said yeah, sure, why not. And then when I was doing it, I was like, why am I doing this? Like what's the what is my actual issue? And then I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for the CAO. And I did that, and I kind of left it for a while. And then the lockdown, I think that, it was like March or something. I had applied already for the courses, but when the lockdown came, then I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to do it, because do you know that kind of, I think the lockdown has given people a different perspective on things.
Yeah, it's kind of forced people's hands, hasn't it, like to do stuff.
Yeah.
We've heard that a lot, actually, that people had things they wanted to do but kind of have been holding back on it because they just don't think it's the right time, and then this has kind of forced them into that position where they're like, there's probably no better time than to just to go for it. And have you always been creative, or is it something that has come later on in life? Or
I think I've always been creative. I'm trying to think when. We were always, just because our family are big into music. So my dad he's a really good artist as well. He just doesn't dedicate the time to it. But he is really good, and my uncle is also really good. So we were kind of brought up in that sort of, I suppose, like creative kind of family. And I think like we used to, those projects you do in school and stuff, like making posters about like the boreal climate or some lake somewhere in Italy. We used to love doing those projects, and kind of always just had a thing for it, I suppose.
What would you say is like your earliest memory then of painting?
You see, I know one Christmas, I think it was the first time I was ever given an art set from Santa. And it was like, those wooden boxes with
I used to love them.
The pastels. There was like chalk pastels and oil pastels, and then there was paintbrushes. Well, there was like, there'd be like 2 paintbrushes, and they were like, not dollar round here. And then there'd be like all different color paints and stuff. And I remember getting that and like losing my life over it. I was like, this is the best thing ever. It was just about,
I used to get them all the time as well, like, or the plastic. I think I had a few of the same, like plastic red, like old fashioned-y sort of suitcases, and like inside you'd get absolutely shite pencils and like a couple of like oil pastel crayon-y things and like watercolor, like, but the real crap, like circle, like 6 circles of like watercolory paint and everything. It was absolutely shite, but you were like absolutely delighted with life.
He's very good at spotting talent, though, isn't he, Santa?
It's really funny. I do remember, like, in play school, that was it, like, obviously in Castlereagh, I do remember doing this is really weird, because, like, I was only, like, what, 4 or 5? I remember doing the thing where they put the paint on your hand and put it on the page.
Oh, yeah, I remember that as well.
And, like, primary school, I don't know, we just had really good teachers in primary school. I went to, like, a country primary school called Terman, and we literally got to do art like every Friday, best day of the week, probably highest.
Yeah, that's like a great way to end the week.
Remember those shirts? Did you have this in your school as well? Like men's shirts that people had donated for kids to do art, and they always stank. They'd like paint and like splodges of God knows what on them. Like when they were when the box of them was pulled out, she'd be like, yes, like it's art day.
It's so strange that's obviously like a universal thing. Because I remember that too.
Yeah. Oh, the smell of them.
Like years ago, they used to, I don't know, was it on like Arts Council, or the local Arts Council used to send out artists to schools. And I remember this one, we must have been in like 2nd class. There was this woman called Bridget, and everyone from our class, our room, remembers her. She did this like fabric, like weaving type tapestry thing, and it's still hanging up in the primary school. I love seeing it when I go back. It was just, it was so strange. It was really cool, But they used to get like people like that in and stuff. It was really cool.
Oh, they should still do that.
Yeah, they should do that.
When I was training to be like a teacher, when I was in college, I was sent out, because I did secondary, but I was sent out to a primary school like for a couple of weeks to do a project. And I think they thought I was such an idiot, because I had to I obviously had to complete the project well to pass that area or whatever. So I was like really determined to like make it good, and like I was doing bits at home and everything, then bringing it back into school, and they were like, "Miss, but like we didn't do this last week." And I was like, "You did? Do you not remember?"
Nothing gets by them.
Yeah. It's funny.
You touched upon earlier as well then that you are from kind of a very creative family. So do you think there's a particular person in your family that's inspired you to continue or to get into painting?
Probably my dad and my uncle. Well, my dad and my two uncles, they'd be they're on my, like, obviously my dad's side of the family. Yeah, they're always just, well, I think my uncle Sean, he studied art years ago. And he does he still works at it now, but he's unreal. Like he's really, really good. He has his own, like, they have where they're living now, they have those like dormer type houses, and the whole upstairs of the house, like, you do not go up there because that's his art space. The whole top of the house.
Oh my God, the dream.
Wow.
And we used
That's
to
amazing.
never be allowed up there as kids, but like he's a class setup up there. But I'm trying to convince my dad to get back into it as well. Do you know, like when they're retired and stuff, especially, they've loads of time.
Yeah.
Like, just to.
Especially if you're good at something.
Yeah, my granny did it when she was retired, and like.
Yeah, it just seems like such a shame.
Yeah, my dad always is like, she made no money because like she didn't charge enough for her paintings. Not that she didn't charge enough, but she didn't want to like overcharge, and then.
It's a tough thing anyway, like knowing what to charge for.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's the worst.
Like taking all the material side of things out. Like, how do you quantify your time in money? Because
because you have that medium mind.
But like as an artist, like if you gave yourself a rate, like a normal like hourly rate, like you would in any other job, your pieces would be astronomical.
Yeah. Because
the amount of time that goes into them.
I nearly have a nervous breakdown every time I'm pricing my stuff, and I'm like, Shay, like, this is just the cost of materials. And then he's like, you need to put your time, like your labour on top of that. And I'm like, no, I can't.
Yeah, Hannah would just give her stuff out.
Yeah.
It cost me this much for materials, that's it. I'd be like, no, you're not making any money.
No, it is. It's really hard. It's hard to like guess, or I suppose imagine how people, like, it won't be everyone's, like people will always differ on what they'll pay for a piece of art and stuff, and it's hard to like figure out what I don't know, like I'm the same. I need help with it, definitely. I need to assess that area.
Yeah.
I think it's as well as something is like when you first start out, you feel like you can't charge too much because you're like new to the scene or whatever. But then I think the more you've put stuff out and the more people are buying it, it's kind of like your value kind of intrinsically goes up. So it's like you feel you can charge more. It's
like years of experience on a charge, even though we've both been doing art.
Yeah, for a long time.
For a long, long time. But like, because, say for me, because the business is new to social media, you feel like you have to like set yourself down at like the beginning stage again, even though I've been doing it for like 25 years or something, like.
Yeah, it is very tough.
Yeah, and we're both like going into like prints and stuff now, and you're a little bit more ahead of me. I've only just started the crazy journey that is print.
I am. I have a lot of work to do here.
Oh, it's a crazy amount of work, but it means that your art is like at a slightly more affordable cost for someone that maybe can't afford the original piece. So
yeah, like
that's exciting. I can't wait to see what yours come out like.
Like long term, I think I was talking to someone from town the other day, and they were asking me how I was getting on. I was like, oh, it's grand, and they're like, you busy? And I'm like, oh yeah, like 12, 14-hour days. Yeah, I'm busy. And they're like, oh, that's great. I'm like, yeah, but like that's great now, but like, do you know, when life goes back to normal, like that's not sustainable in the long run. So I think that's another. It's another one of the reasons, I suppose, that I do want to get into prints is there has to be some. Yeah. You can't work 12 hours a day for the rest of your life.
A break, yeah. That's kind of, I was saying that to someone on the podcast the other day as well, because I obviously have Donica. I have to work what I do around Donica, and the same way you have college, it's kind of works out the same. Like, as in, I have Donica during the day, and if he has a nap when he wants to have a nap, I sometimes get some work done then. But otherwise, I have to start work when he's gone to bed, which means that my working day, same as you, your college and then your working day, we're working way too late for it to be sustainable.
Oh, it's definitely not sustainable.
Yeah. What other artists inspire like you in your work?
I think the first ever artist that I really kind of got into was Van Gogh. I just love his paintings. We did like some way back in school. I think we did like an extracurricular activity, and we did like copies of whatever artist we wanted to focus on. So I did the Starry Night. That was the kind of the start of that. Yeah, no, it is. It's really nice. That's what kind of got me into oil paintings as well, but they just take so long to dry. But I think since starting college, we have like there's so many artists that I never would have known about that I'm now like, oh, do you know, actually that kind of makes sense. There's one that we actually started it. Well, we could pick whoever we wanted, but there's an artist called Kiki Smith. She's like a contemporary American artist that was born in Germany. I love her stuff. She's not like a huge painter as such, but more like multidisciplinary 3D kind of sculpture, glass and stuff. But it's just, I think it's the way we watched some documentary on her as well. It's just the way she talks about her stuff kind of resonates. And then there's a couple of there's David Hockney. I really like his work, and Peter Doig as well. And these are all college ones. And if anyone listens to this, they're going to be like, "You totally took that from the thing," but I agree. But no, they're definitely like three of probably the top ones. Edgar Degas as well. Really liked his work. He's kind of timeless. Cézanne. There's like one of his paintings of the bowl of the apple, or I think it's apples and oranges. Anyway, bowl of fruit on the table. Love that one. Yeah, it's kind of random ones. Obviously, like Da Vinci and that kind of stuff as well. I mean,
I remember at school, there's one that always stuck in my head was Georgia O'Keeffe.
Yeah.
For some reason, that I never forgot her name.
I'm not keen on her stuff now. One of the art teachers in school really kind of pushed her, and I wasn't mad keen on her.
It's just weird that this was one of the ones that always stuck in my head.
Yeah. Our school, like, I went to school in London for a while, and that's where I met Shane, but our school was great for art, like amazing. And I say I learnt 90% of my art skills in there, like as opposed to like when I went to college and everything. Like, it was amazing. And
proper studios, wasn't it?
Proper art rooms and everything, and we did loads of things. Yeah, we did loads of things, and went to loads of galleries and loads of like artist research, and I think it was really, really good. Yeah.
I used to like doing the clay. Actually, clay work was fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, loved a bit of clay work.
Yeah. See, I can't really draw, but I'm okay, maybe. Out push. I can draw a good stick person, but yeah, like I used to like the clay stuff because I feel like you can kind of mold something easier into a form or into something that makes more, is more recognizable than say drawing. Like, I find drawing very difficult. If I draw a person's face, they always look slightly deranged or crazy.
You need to be looking at a person though to draw them.
Yeah.
You kind of work out your head.
Yeah, I do actually. Never have a reference.
Yeah. A lot of people do that though, like, like you think you know what a mug looks like, but you don't actually know what a mug looks like unless you're drawing the mug in front of you. Do you know?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And noses. Can't draw a nose. Don't even know where to start with a nose.
Noses are the bane of my life, honest to God. They're just so difficult to draw, especially when they're just like straight on. I can't. Yeah.
You've got the right woman on the phone now, because you do so many commissions of portraits and stuff that are amazing. So
how did you get into doing those, actually, like the commission pieces of portraits? And
it was when I was living in Ras Al Khaimah, which is like an hour from Dubai. I can't remember who. I think someone in school asked me to draw a picture. Would I draw or paint a picture or draw a picture of their dog? Because their dog was at home and they weren't with them and they loved their dog. And was really cute. I was like, ah, sure, yeah, I'll give it a try, like, and it actually turned out all right. So I was like, oh, okay. And I had got back into stuff, and they knew in work that I was like, you know, I had bought paints and pencils and that kind of thing, and I had like taken all my work stuff off the table. I didn't care about that anymore. I had all the paint stuff on the desk. But I did that one. That went down really well. And then someone else asked me to do it. And then I don't know, like I had my Instagram page before that. I think it was like 2014 or something, on my Facebook well before that. But I didn't really use them for anything really. I just, the odd time I'd share a drawing of like an eye or something, you know, random like that. But then I kind of just put up pictures, and like it just started, kind of took off from there. Did a good few actually. And then the school that I was working in, they commissioned me to do the gifts for the people who were leaving, but I was also leaving, which was kind of funny. They didn't give me my own painting as a leaving gift.
That would have been awkward.
Yeah. But so they got me to do them. There was, I think it was like 48 pieces. I spent the entire, like we called it spring break, but like Easter holidays, I spent the entire 2 weeks doing them. And then when I came home, I think I went to a few craft fairs, and I honestly don't even know what I had at them, because like I hadn't really had them done at that time. But yeah, just people at home started picking up on it and getting me to do them. It's mostly word of mouth, and like you wouldn't believe the amount of them that are local. Like I would definitely say 70% of them, I'd say most of the time, are local people, which is crazy. Like it's actually crazy.
What's easier, a pet or a person?
Oh, a pet, 100%. Yeah, because people don't see themselves the way other people see them.
Yeah.
So if they're in the picture, it can be kind of it's kind of a tricky one. Sometimes most of the time they're okay with it. I always kind of check with people as I go anyway, because you don't want to finish it and then realize they're not okay with it. Like, but people are definitely way more difficult. They take longer as well. More layers.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Tell us about what you're currently making.
Loads of college work. I don't really know. I'm working on prints. I'm waiting on a few bits of supplies and mostly packaging stuff. It's just orders. I don't actually know if I can show any of them because they're all gifts, so I can't actually share them. But yeah, it's mainly the prints of the painting, and just orders and loads of college work. Like there's an insane. I mean, I suppose I could show one from college, but I don't know, will it make it?
Oh, I seen that on. Did you share it on Instagram? I love it.
I think I shared it on my story. But it's just
really
college work. So it was. We had to go and like photograph a place. With objects in it. It wasn't like very vague, but it was fairly open. So I went to the church because I kind of liked the way, like stained glass windows and light and that kind of thing. And of course they thought I was like super religious, and the reason I was doing it was because I loved churches. And I was like, no, it's not about the crosses and the prayers. It's about the windows. But yeah, no, it kind of came together in the end. But I need to photograph it all out.
It's lovely.
It's really nice.
It's very nice.
I never thought I really liked art until I got older, and I kind of like started to appreciate stuff more. I wouldn't say I wouldn't like be a contemporary artist.
Do you like realism more so?
I do like. I quite like realism. Yeah,
because I remember when I was in college and we had to pick a discipline, and I got the choice of either painting or clay, and I kind of wish I'd done clay now, weirdly, but I did painting. And I remember I really struggled because I felt like I was they expected you to do kind of like real fine art realism sort of thing, and that necessarily isn't me. And one of the tutors was like, what do you actually like, and I remember just saying like, I don't really like paintings. Like just out of frustration, but I meant like the classic realistic, what you expect a painting to be.
I wouldn't necessarily. I wouldn't say that I would be like going and, you know, some of the older kind of paintings of like, you know, a scene with people and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't really be into that now, but I kind of like clean lines and like, I don't know, I kind of like the realistic aspect to things, but I do like kind of like a twist as well.
Yeah, I think you are more contemporary than you think you
Yeah, maybe I am.
are.
Maybe I am.
That could be me in 3 years' time. It's definitely, I'll tell you what though, like doing, I mean, I know it's an art course, but it is a contemporary art course, and it's definitely made me relax a little bit more about the whole realistic thing, because you can't, you know, I can't just go in and draw a picture of a dog and it'll be grand and I'll pass the module. It doesn't, and I knew that anyway, obviously, but I still, I mean, my own work might change, but don't think I'll ever stop drawing dogs because they're too cute.
No, they're so cute.
Yeah.
People love their pets.
The people really
Oh,
love
they
it.
love them.
Yeah.
They love them. Yeah.
Obviously I've completely changed my mind now, by the way, for anyone listening and thinking like, oh my god, an artist doesn't like painting. I actually didn't even mean that at the time. I was just so frustrated in that environment. I was like, I don't even like paintings. Do you know, because she was like flicking through the books of like the Sistine Chapel and, you know, God and the finger and everything, and I was like, oh god, no, I don't want to do that. Anyway.
Sum up.
So we have a segment. If you feel like you can sum up what you do in 5 words.
Okay. Like 5 individual words. Can I do that?
It doesn't have to be. It could be anything.
Okay. Oh my god, I don't know. Creative. Musical. Ireland. Green. And oh god, I don't know. Quiet. I like quiet. I don't know. Oh no, what's the word when somebody doesn't, not like people, but like, you know,
An introvert.
Introvert. That's it. Yeah.
Doesn't like
I
people.
like people. I mean, people are lovely, but you know, like too many people, it's no.
Yeah.
Do you listen to podcasts or like audiobooks or music, or watch it when you're painting? Do you like perfect quiet or?
Oh no. When I get into it, and it depends on. Well, I do kind of just depends on the day. It doesn't really depend on what I'm working on. It could be like full blown trads like Lunasa or Fluke or Bioga or something. Do you know when they go mad with the Byrons and the guitars? Or it could be like chill piano. It could be meditation, yoga music. It could be just like regular pop music. It could be like music that we did in college, like Bach and classical stuff. Like it is. I have the weirdest playlists ever. I can definitely say that. Yeah.
I always find that really interesting to like.
Yeah,
know
and
what
actually,
people
I think
listen to.
there's a lot of parallels, I think, between like art and music, because they're both very subjective things, and you know, people might not necessarily have a particular taste in one thing, one music style, and like obviously being an artist, like you kind of explore loads of different aspects of life with painting, so it's kind of, it doesn't surprise me that your music is
Very
so random.
It's very random.
What would you do?
If you weren't doing what you're doing, what would you?
If I wasn't doing this, if I wasn't in college, I would definitely have moved in the last like 6 weeks to a country that has handled lockdowns and coronavirus better. Definitely. And I think I said that to my dad the other day. He's like, but sure, what would you do if you went to New Zealand? I was like, I would find something. I'd work on a farm. I'd milk cows. I do not care. I would be doing something. But I was like, I do like the course too much to give it up. But if I wasn't doing that, I don't really know. I'd probably still be teaching. And like, it'd be grand. I probably would have moved back. I'd say I would have taught for a year in Ireland and then moved back to Dubai. Even though I do love Ireland, I'm not a fan of the whole way the teaching system. Well, no, not the teaching system. The job situation, we'll say.
Yeah,
here.
I couldn't get a job when I got out of college either. It's crazy.
I talked about this a few times on my stories as well on Instagram. Like, it's because people have asked me like, "Oh, why are you not teaching anymore?" And sure, you'd get a job and no bother. And why don't you ring Mary down in Waterford or wherever she is, and she'll get you a job? And I'm like, yeah, okay, listen, that's No, it is. It's actually messed up. It's probably not as bad for primary as it is for secondary, but there's far too many teachers qualifying on a yearly basis in this country, and there's absolutely not enough jobs for them. Like
No.
I think it's crazy.
Crazy.
It's
Yeah.
actually quite funny when you ask. If you were to do a poll, I'd say a good 70% of people reply teacher or guard. They're the kind of the most kind of jobs that are taken the most.
Well, like I went to college in Limerick first, and if I think about the likes of like UI and like the teaching colleges and stuff, we're absolutely cramped full of people. Where are they all now? Like, what are they doing? They can't all be teaching.
I know a lot like probably end up in departments or in advisory roles, but there's still like do you know what actually when we, I think it was in our last year in Dubai, I don't know, it wasn't me, Hall Martin, or maybe it was somebody came over anyway from the government to like convince Irish teachers to come back to Ireland or something. I don't think we went to it because we had like an inspection at the time, so we couldn't actually go. But like there were, I can't even, like there was like 15,000 or 20,000. Would that be right? I would actually think it was, like in Dubai alone. I think there's so many. Like I think nearly 90% of people do some sort of a stint in Dubai, or then they go on to Australia or something like that, unless they settle at home. Crazy amount.
I suppose the problem here is that in the country, especially, I suppose the schools are so small. They don't tend to have that many teachers that are required. And then, like, obviously you have your city schools that need more teachers, but then that involves people having to move, and then it's more, the population is so small in comparison to other places. Like, the proportions of teachers to population is crazy. I mean, it's great, obviously, like, you know, future generations need teachers, but like
there needs to be some sort of cap on it, because it's just like if you think of how many teaching courses are in Ireland every single year, there's primary, and then there's all the subjects, and then there's postgrads who whatever don't do if they're not doing B.Ed, like there's no cap on it, like so I don't know, it's crazy. But yeah, I suppose that's probably what I'd be doing still. I'd probably be, well, maybe not with COVID, but like, you know, teaching music lessons. I do kind of want to go back to a bit of that though, when things go back to normal. Do kind of miss that. Yeah.
And would you play instruments as well?
I dabble in many instruments, but the fiddle is like my thing, and the tin whistle. They're kind of the two.
Very nice. Going back to, I suppose, the painting side of things, like, do you have a particular like material that is your go-to or your favorite to work with?
For most work, I would say acrylic, because it dries really fast. Especially for college work as well. I suppose you can get, like, you know, cheaper paint that's not, you know, if you're not selling the painting or anything like that, it doesn't need to be like extremely high quality or whatever. Watercolors as well, I find really handy for sketchbooks and smaller studies. But I do love oil paints. They just take so long to dry that I just need to kind of leave that till the summer. But I do love the smell of oil paints.
I like the texture element of oil paints. Like when you look at an oil painting, like the
but you can get that from acrylic if you add mediums and things like that.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Does it dry quicker?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know nothing about mediums. We're not there yet in the in the medium department. But yeah.
Plus with oil paints, you have all the, you know, the like the linseed oils and the solvents, and, you know,
okay,
they're not the, like,
most
you'd have to really love an oil paint to use it. But you also do pastels and pencils and things for your commissions, don't you?
I nearly forgot about them, actually. Yeah, no, I'd say pastels they're a bit like oils. They're kind of, I won't say dangerous, but they are kind of on the dangerous side. I generally wear a mask when I'm using them and leave the windows open and that kind of thing. I'd notice as well, if I'm doing a few of them, like a few days in a row, I'll kind of have like a dry throat. So obviously, even though you're wearing a mask and stuff, you do still kind of, I suppose, get the effects of it a little bit. So I try and break it up. But those Faber-Castell polychromos are unreal. They're probably the best thing I ever bought. I think I bought them at the start of lockdown last year, and they're unreal. Like the colour out of them and the quality and the pigment and everything are lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very popular like them.
There are some other ones too, I think, like Karen Dash or something. I haven't tried them.
They're okay, I think I had them in college. They're not as good as the Faber-Castell well, in my opinion anyway. Have you tried the Inktense? You know, Derwent? I don't know how you pronounce it.
I haven't, but I saw them in I had to go to college to collect stuff today, and I went to Kriegel Art, and they had them, and I was tempted, but I've seen a lot of people talk about them.
Yeah.
I don't know that, you see, I find like, even with the polychromos, like obviously you get whatever set, like I think there's 60 in my set, but I did buy additional colours, and I like having a good range of colours. See, it's grand with paint because you can mix them together and you can make your own, so that's, you need very little. But with coloured pencils, I do like to have a good range, and I just feel like if I move into a new brand, I'm going to convince myself that I need to have every colour, and I don't need that right now.
I have about 6 of them, and like just the colours that I wanted, and they're really like an interesting pencil because they're not like a watercolour pencil, they're not a pencil. They're like sort of like an oil pastel texture, but you can blend them like watercolour. I mean, they're just so weird but cool.
Highs and lows.
But could you maybe tell us what one of your biggest highs has been so far, and then maybe your biggest learning curve?
Biggest high, probably when I think it was last year. There was I think I had 2 articles. That's what it is. Because I'd done the jewellery with the local jeweller. There was an article and I was mentioned in that, and that was great. And people started realizing that I was involved in it. But then 2 weeks later, my own one came out as well, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, and there was just such a huge buzz after it for they still, because obviously I haven't seen anyone that I would normally see, would say in the pub on a Friday night or anything like that, or people you see when you're shopping and stuff. So still when I'm meeting people, oh, I saw your thing in the paper, and they're delighted and glad you went and did it, and you finally did it, and all that kind of stuff. I find that really cute because they're really supportive. Learning curve was probably when I got the mounts for these prints and realised they're really difficult.
When you said that to me, I was like, oh no.
No, I'm telling you now, I am not going to be getting into framing anytime soon. That is a fact. Yeah, I think.
It's just really difficult.
Oh
yeah,
gosh,
probably.
yeah.
Pastels as well. Actually, last year when I got the first set of pastels, I had asked this girl in the UK who does pet portraits as well. Because I saw that she was using them, and I was like, "Oh, what are they like?" And she's like, "Oh, they're totally worth it. Invest in them, and they'll be great." And she kind of talked me through them a bit. But when I got them, I did one pet portrait, and I never really thought, oh, I need to worry about my hand or anything like that. So I had most of it finished, and I think I swiped my elbow down half the page, and it literally, this is why I tell people don't touch the picture ever, because I literally swiped half it off, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize, I just completely forgot. I suppose obviously I knew they were chalk and stuff, and also didn't have the right paper for it either, so that didn't help. But yeah, one foul swoop and the whole thing can be gone.
Oh my god, I would have cried. Gosh. The amount of times I've had a little frustrated cry over something like that.
God, that would really be horrible.
Yeah. Oh, jeepers. And the jewellery collection is amazing. For those that didn't know, Susan helped design some jewellery with was it a local jeweller?
It was a local jeweller, yeah.
Yeah.
It's got its own, I suppose, its own name, or their heroes collection, but he was inspired by the you know, because he wasn't, like, obviously the jewelers wasn't open during the first lockdown, but he just kind of saw the whole community spirit in that, and obviously frontline workers and everyone that, you know, how they were getting through it and that. So he asked me to, he had he had a couple of ideas already, and he asked me to like put them down on paper and like see could I come up with something, and we kind of went over and back for months. It did take a good while, and obviously I have no experience with how, I don't even know where they, like, how they get made. All I know is I drew it, and now it's a chain that people can wear. But it was really weird
That's
seeing
really
it the
cool.
first time it was made. Yeah, it was like, oh, that is really cool. Yeah, it was really cool.
So what advice would you give to other artists that are starting out?
Don't give up. That'd be number one. Two, don't take advice from someone who hasn't done what you want to do. I found that quote somewhere lately.
That's very
Really
good
like that
advice.
one. Yeah, because a lot of people, and I know they mean well, a lot of people are going to try and like give people advice when they're starting out, and I still get it. Like, oh, you should do this. If you listened to everything, your head would actually explode. Take it with a pinch of salt, and there's always going to be some sort of criticism from somewhere. Take that with a pinch of salt as well, I'd say. Yeah, don't be too, I'd say, like, especially for young people, because I think they're more bothered about, you know, what people think of them, and that, like, life is way too short. Don't be bothered by it. Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask for help, I think, is another one. More so for younger people, I suppose. Yeah, just don't give up. It'll be grand. And sure, look, you'll have the crack while you're at it as well.
That's the main thing.
Yeah. So for anyone listening, where can we find you and your work?
You can find me, my Instagram and Facebook and Twitter usernames are at Ellen Susan Igoe Art, and I don't have a website because I'm really slow and I want to do it myself. So I won't have that up for a while, but I'll be letting people know when I do. But yeah, it's Ellen Susan Igoe Art, or I can be got at ellensusanigoeart@gmail.com. And yeah, that's me.
Cool.
Share the spotlight.
Are there any other artists or any other people that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Small businesses or whatever.
There's a local girl, Elaine Garvey Ceramics. She's also Roscommon based. She does amazing pottery and ceramics, really, really nice pieces. I think she's working on new pieces at the minute that are going to be going up on her Etsy soon. Also, my art teacher from school, Frances Crowe. So we had her for like most of secondary school, and then we had a lady called Pauline Connaughton, who's also brilliant. Frances Crowe is a fibre artist. She can be found on Facebook and Instagram as well. It's just Frances Crowe Fibre Artist, that'll find her. She does really, really like amazing tapestries, and I think she has some prints on her website as well. FrancesCroweFibreArtist.com, I think.
Cool.
Yeah. She's really cool. And I think there's so many, like there's loads of amazing small businesses on Instagram. There's loads of, like, even in college, all the people that I've met this year, they've all started up their own, you know, their own social medias, and they're trying to, you know, share their work and that. I know one of the girls in college, Lydia, she started taking on commissions. So she's from the US. She moved here for the course, and I'm just trying to think of her user. I think it's Lydia Michelle Art, on Instagram, like at Lydia Michelle Art. So yeah,
Cool.
she is taking some commissions at the minute. Yeah.
That's quite the commitment to move from the US to Ireland for a course.
And then she gets stuck in lockdown.
Yes,
She hasn't. We haven't got to bring her to the pub for a bloody Guinness. It's not right.
It's definitely not right. No. Oh, the day it all, everything is back to normal, and the first day the pubs are back open.
Running down the road,
I'm
I'd
out.
say, like, me and Donna will be like, okay, bye.
I'll see you in a few days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
That's brilliant.
That's you. Thanks so much for coming on to talk to us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the I-Endeavour podcast.
Join us next week for another episode. You can find us on YouTube or your favourite podcasting app, or on Instagram.
And if you're a creator or a small business that would like to take part in Series 2, email podcast@idyllicendeavour.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to make sure you see all future episodes.